I want to give you opportunity. You can just lift your own prayer. Just your own words that you want to express to God this moment. Maybe there's something you want to say thank you for. Maybe there's something you want to ask Him. There's something you desire from the Lord in this moment. I want to invite you to share that prayer before Him now, before we're going to carry on with the service. And if there's nothing to pray for, then you just say thank you. Thank you that He has blessed. Thank you for His favor. Thank you that you have the opportunity to stand here and be here this morning. Thank you for being good to us, Father. Thank you for this moment. We pray that in Jesus' wonderful name, and together we say, Amen and Amen. Guys are welcome to take your seats in this atmosphere. Thank you so much. Oh, what an ironic day to be at church. On the one side, we planned this for a long time, planning to launch our building project, planning to start this new process, and then the storm hits. And as we are encouraging people and getting you excited about what lies ahead, you come to church and what we already have is fallen down and lying on the floor outside, running around with brooms. It doesn't work because it smudges on the pavement. It's just been crazy. It's just been crazy. And so what an interesting time it's been this week. Nevertheless, we are here, we are excited, we are still excited, and it gives me great honor to speak about this topic today. But as you know me by now, although we talk about the building, we're talking about the book, we're going to get there soon enough. I still have a message that I want to share with you, and I hope that it becomes a blessing to you as we're going to have a conversation. Now, the practical application of what we're going to share today is a little bit difficult and a little bit abstract, but I'm hoping that as you navigate with this conversation through with me, is going to bring some clarity. We're going to talk about Joseph's dream, and this was actually had 6 of them, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm hoping that it will be a blessing to you. Genesis 37, verse 3, and it says the following. Now Israel, that is Jacob, Israel loved Joseph more than any of his sons, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. Verse 4. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. Verse 5. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, hear this dream that I have dreamed. 7. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf. His brothers said to him, are you indeed to reign over us? Or are you indeed to rule over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Verse 9. Then he dreamed another dream, and he told to his brothers and said, behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars were bowed down to me. But when he told this to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow ourselves to the ground before you? Last verse. And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. Very interesting piece that we were reading there. I'm going to jump a bit around, but I want you to, you guys know this, but now I need you to have your thinking caps on, because it's going to feel a little bit separated and disconnected, but as we're going to go on a little bit further, everything is going to make sense. I'm going to jump now to a book I've been reading. It's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. And it says the following. In simple terms, we use our new computers to design even faster new computers, and this creates a positive feedback loop that further accelerates our acceleration, what Kurzweil calls the law of accelerating returns. Next one for me, please. And the new news is that formerly independent waves of exponentially accelerating technology are beginning to converge with other independent waves of exponentially accelerating technology. Okay, now you can go back to the previous one for me, please, if you don't mind. Awesome. Now I know you guys are I'm talking about Joseph, now I'm talking about science, in technology, where's this coming from? Well, I want to show you something quickly in this. What the book is referring to is the exponential growth of technological advancement. Exponential. Andre, hello. Welcome, Pastor Andre and his wife, Tony Karin. This exponential growth of technology. Now, our brains and how we function as per usual is we develop linearly over time, which means, over the years, we discover one simple, small technological advancement. The entire world gathers around that advancement. It affects things, and slowly over time, things develop. But then you've got these type of technology that disrupts the entire progress of technology. For example, computers and then AI. Now, what exponential growth refers to is this concept when different technologies converge together and they begin to affect one another. So growth becomes faster because now it's not just a person building a computer, you can have computers building computers. Is that making sense? Okay. Now you don't just have computers building computers, you have AI having the ability to help you create even faster computers. So what's happening is, this is not a slow growth over time. This happens instantly within a circle. Now take AI technology with 3D printing, with biotechnology, if you take with the advancements in supercomputers that's being developed, I want you to understand something. We are entering in a phase where technology is becoming so advanced that it's difficult for us to keep up. I know we're sitting here and we feel like, how does this affect our world? I don't think we can comprehend the speed at which things are developing in our life. They're talking about nanotechnology. It's just crazy. It's just phenomenal. But here's the problem that I want to share with you. It's not that the future is the problem. It's not that that is the concern. My problem is when our character can't keep up with what develops. Now, let me explain to you what that looks like. So, in this book, it talks about the advancement of technology, right? But in the same book, it talks about marriage. Okay, now, if you are married, men, you're not allowed to smile now. Okay? Straight face. Okay. Wives, look at your husbands. If they smile, there's problems. Okay, straight face. Why? In the same technology book, why are divorce rates so high? One reason is that marriage was created over 4,000 years ago. And when we got hitched as teens and death came by 40, the institution was designed for a 20-year maximum commitment, okay? Gentlemen, you're doing fantastic, okay? You're doing fantastic, okay? I kid you not, this is in a real book. But thanks to advances in healthcare and lifespan, we're now looking at half a century of togetherness, which puts a whole new spin on till death do us part. Okay. I was reading this book and I was loving this book, and suddenly when I got to this place, it was like, why is this in there? I'm confused. And this is where the idea comes in. On the one side, the book addresses this a beautiful progress of technology and the advancement. It's mind-blowing, okay? But then immediately it jumps into an area which I feel addresses character, not technology. And what happens is they try to use technology, can I be harsh, as an excuse for a lack of character. And you will notice that theme and that term, it's going to be a consistent problem for all of us, irrespective of the technology. Okay. So the future may be coming faster than we think, but the real question is whether our character is mature enough to carry it. And so the challenge that we have and what we need to ask ourselves is, what happens when humanity's ability grows faster than humanity's wisdom? And I think this is where we are faced with in Challenger. I also think the church got this wrong to many degrees. Because sometimes we just reject technology because we see everything new as evil. We see everything that makes life easy as evil as well. And it's not. Technology it's phenomenal. But what we need to check is our character when it comes to technology. You see, when human ability separates from humility before God, we do not just progress, we drift. I want you to absorb this quickly. And I think this is where we need to be accountable for one another. It's this pursuit of technology. It's this embrace of things. But we need to be careful that it doesn't affect our character, because if we do not stay aligned to what God is calling us to do, we might look successful, but we will slowly begin to drift away from God. You see, technology is a gift, but greed is the real danger. See, greed is basically, when you look at the definition, when we are hungry for more at the cost of others. And to a certain degree, all of us are guilty of this, okay? All of us, even myself. You can ask my kids in tumbles. It's just what it is, okay? I do put my hunger before their need for snacks many times, okay? So it does happen, and I know you do the same as well. Okay, so the problem is, can I use another definition for this? It's when our appetite outgrows our empathy for one another. It's when we become so hungry for progress that it comes at the cost of the people that we are supposed to take care of around us. And this happens very easy. And for parents, it's easier. I grew up in the age of, can we say, the age of toys, TV games, and all those things. So now what happens is, I'm a dad paying a salary, and the only thing I want to spend my money on is bills and tech. No, I want to buy toys. Okay, I want to buy toys. Okay, no, I don't play with the toys, but I look at them. They stand there on the cassie, and it just brings me great joy. Okay. My son needed a new calculator for school, but that's not a priority now, okay? He can use an abacus, he can borrow one by his friend, that he can count with the doppies at school, but we need this new Batman Funko Pop that needs to be on the cassie up there. Yeah. You see, but the problem is, even though that's maybe what we do to a certain degree, the question is, do we do this collectively as a community as well? Collectively as a church? Because the agenda for us as mankind is to build something into a process where we can add value to people around us. And yes, more importantly, to the people who's going to follow us. And so from that perspective, and from that as an introduction, I'm going to jump back to the dreams. And I'm hoping that Joseph's dreams can give us a little bit of a hint on how this process works. And maybe there's a formula in this that can help us to navigate this. So Joseph's dad was Jacob. We spoke about him in the previous sermons. So Jacob's dream was initially about God's presence. Can you remember when we spoke about his dream, and when he put up the altar and there was this staircase from heaven? We spoke about this 2 weeks ago, I think. But now his son Joseph, he's got a dream, but this dream relates about the future. He's got 6 specific dreams, and it's clustered into 2 groups. And I want to just show this to you. The first 2 was the ones we just read in the opening passages, where he dreams about himself. He dreams about the future, but the image he receives about himself, it's the sheaves and the sun and the moon and the stars. But what's fascinating is, as you read the story of Joseph, there comes a point where he needs to address 2 more dreams, but then dream 3 and 4 is not about him. In dream 3 and 4, he finds himself in prison. Yes, Joseph. I don't have time to go through this whole story. I hope you've got a basic idea on the story of Joseph. But he finds himself in a position where God gives him this calling. God gives him this future. But then he finds himself in a position where he's in jail. And first of all, the first dream spoke of him. But the second dreams was his assignment to speak on behalf of someone else. I want you to grab hold on this, okay? And so the cupbearer's dream and the baker's dream were 2 imprisoned, can we say, political prisoners in prison, and he had to interpret their dreams. But him serving those 2 dreams gave him access to 2 more dreams. And the final 2 dreams is what activated the initial calling of the first 2 dreams. He appeared before Pharaoh, and he saw this dream about Pharaoh's cows, and that's got nothing to do with mother-in-laws and bad wives or anything like that. It's just physical cows, just in case someone misinterpreted what it means. And I'm just checking if the husbands were smiling at that one. Okay. And the sixth one, sorry, I was thinking about a joke, but I'll leave that one out. Otherwise, I won't be allowed back next week. Any case, God can see me afterwards. It's good. Okay. In any case, the sixth one is Pharaoh's grain, where this whole community is being affected. And when he interprets his dream, he gets positioned into a place where he changes and preserves the life of many. See, when Joseph's story starts out, he maybe thought that the dreams were about elevation. And that's how many times we find ourselves. When we start off with a dream, when we start with a plan, when we start off in life, we always have this thing like, what's the best that I can be? How's the highest that I can climb? Well, I'm not sure if that's for you. I know that's exactly for me. I still do. I have this drive where when you put your mind to something, you want to climb as high as you can. It doesn't matter how many books you have to read, how many studies you have to do. It doesn't matter how many hours you have to work. It's irrelevant because you've got this drive to achieve a certain place. But there's a little bit of a problem because God is not always interested in this idea of elevation. God is interested in this concept of preservation. And so what he does is he will elevate someone if that someone can function to preserve a community or to preserve an idea or to preserve worship or preserve life in that sense. And sometimes we get confused between the two because we try to build a life in church using the rules that the world use. And God functions from different set of rules and procedures. You see, young Joseph sees people bowing in his dreams. Young Joseph's dream looks like status, and you can see this when he speaks to his dad and he speaks to his brothers because he shares a dream and it makes them completely angry. Young Joseph sees elevation. But mature Joseph, he preserves others. Can I just quickly say the difficulty between, yes, you guys will get this. The difficulty between God speaking to you, selecting you, and empowering you. And then you quickly realize that now God is going to use you to do that for others. I know it sounds fine, right? I know it sounds fine. But let me tell it to you this way. When you are used to showing up to church and getting someone that makes you coffee the whole time, and suddenly now for the next 7 years, the only thing that you are going to do is give coffee for someone else, I can assure you somewhere along the line, you're going to begin to ask questions about, why am I doing this? I don't deserve to do this. I don't go, come on, guys. This is just what it is. This is the truth. For Joseph to get something from God and then feeling resisted because he was put in prison, he was falsely accused, his life was almost over, and now God knocks on his door and says, you know what? Remember those dreams I showed you? Remember how I used you? Remember what I gave to you? Guess what? Now I want you to use that to elevate someone else. And he doesn't get the credit for it. He doesn't get the honor for that. That is the most difficult thing that you can do. But he learned something in the process. It's because mature Joseph's calling was stewardship. Next one. Mature Joseph's carried responsibility. He came to a place, he could only step into that first 2 dreams that God gave him when he was willing to pick up the responsibility that was carried with that. Because God was looking for someone that could preserve a community. God was looking for someone that understands what it means to hold a leadership position that is centered around others. Yes, I can be. Okay. Thank you. If your dream only serves you, it's not mature yet. If your dream only serves you, it's not mature yet. And Joseph's dreams, it didn't mature through ambition. It matured through service. And I know it's tough, and I know it's uncomfortable, and this is not meant as an insult. But I want us to look at ourselves, because we are entering a stage where we are going to blame technology, but technology just reveals our character. We are entering a phase where we want to blame a lot of things, okay? But in reality it's the character on the inside that needs to address. We need to address ourselves, and we need to equip ourselves to be strong enough for the assignment that is waiting ahead for us. Can I phrase it this way? This is one of the dangers of our age. We are receiving power before we have formed wisdom. Can I explain it to you another way? Okay? You're giving your son, 7 years old, access to the internet unrestricted. You're giving him unlimited power at the age of 7. What do you think is going to happen? If I allow my child, who's 4 years old, to play on an escalator unsupervised, they are accessing technology which they are not capable of handling at all. It's just common. Okay, there's no such thing as common sense. Okay, the psychology students are just judging me there for a second. There's no such thing as common sense. The idea is that we as adults, we're sitting with the same thing when it comes to this, is that now we're progressing. We're sitting with these difficult conversations. I mean, AI has just been bombarding everything. People are so concerned about this, and it's so challenging, and the only thing we're actually using it for is to make cartoons of ourselves in any case. So I don't know why they're concerned about that, but in any case, the challenging thing is this: it's not AI. It's whether our character is equipped enough to handle that. And so now we struggle with a lot of things, but I don't think the problem is going to come from the outside. I think the problem is going to come from the inside. And so it's not the dreams of the future that's our enemy. It's this unaccountable ambition which becomes dangerous. Can I say it in another way? If advancements only serves appetite, it becomes Babel. We had a story like this before in the Bible, where man's ambition was relentless, and man disregarded the guidelines of God. And God looked down, and even God claimed that man is unstoppable in what he does. But it became dangerous because the character did not develop with the advancement. So if you take that concept and you add it back into this conversation of Joseph, the dreams and how it flows, it's this. Joseph's first set, he receives this dream about the future. The dream is beautiful, it's amazing. But then the second part is he had to serve in the waiting. And then serving in the waiting gave him access to steward the responsibility that activated the dream that he received in the first place. It was never about Joseph climbing the ranks. It was about Joseph becoming the steward that would preserve life. Now, I know it's a little bit technical conversation, and because the practical application becomes difficult, because for many of us, we feel part of a system and part of a community where we don't have control of. Because you see it here, and we feel, but I don't have control over Facebook, over technology, over lithium batteries, over colonies on Mars or whatever the case. I'm not talking about controlling anything. I'm not talking about directing where we go to. I'm having the conversation about what's happening on the inside on our process moving forward. And so this is where this book, The Biodegradable Christian, comes in. And it's let me just tell you what it's not. It's not about recycling or going green, okay? It's not that I think the gospel talks about throwing plastic in the right plastic bin. That's not what I'm trying to express. But it's asking this question whether we value what God has entrusted to us. Can I tell you what I mean when I say what we value when God entrusted to us? God entrusted to us creation, people, future generations, and the world our lives impact. I want you to hang on to that. When we engage with a beautiful growth of technology, but the agenda is to consume and not to serve, it becomes dangerous. Because many times people are building into things that's causing greed, that's causing addiction, or whatever the case may be. There's so many things with regards to that. But now you're asking me, but what has that got to do with us? Everything, because we sell our families for our addictions. It's not difficult for me. And now you're going to judge me, but it's fine. Okay, we already took up offering. Okay. It's not difficult for me to put on my computer with my water cooler. It's amazing, by the way. Any case, it's got liggies and stuff. It's amazing. Okay. And sit in front of that computer for the next 7 hours and just to stop for maybe some snacks. Okay. It's not difficult to do. It's not difficult for me to do. Some people will judge me now, and that's fine. It's okay. I don't do it, but I can. It's not difficult. It's not difficult for some people to take their fishing rod and spend 3 days away from their family, going fishing and just being there out there in the place. It's not difficult for anyone to open their phone, sit on their bed and scroll and blink your eyes, and 12 hours is away. It's not difficult. Those things happen automatically. But the question is, at what price is these things happening in our lives? What is the cost of the consuming element? Again, I'm not against technology. I'm not against social media. I'm not against any of these things. I'm a millennial myself. I was raised in this. I appreciate this. I use AI. I love technology. I read about this, and it's just phenomenal. It's really great. But I get concerned in my personal life, in the lives around us, when it begins to become unhealthy. You know where's the first place it shows up? It's in 2 places. It's in our families, and it's in our spiritual life. It's always those 2 things that get hit the hardest. Now, our responsibility is to build our character. Our responsibility is to use this in a positive sense. But we've just given up. We just give over. We don't fight for our kids anymore. We keep them busy with technology. We don't fight for our families anymore. We just use our hobbies as excuses to keep ourselves preoccupied. But here's the thing. God has entrusted us with these important elements. He has entrusted us with creation. He has entrusted us with our families. He has entrusted us with our next generation who's popping up. We are responsible to build into them. But how do we build into them if we can't even build into ourselves? And so this is where this becomes challenging, and this is where it becomes personal, and this is where it becomes practical. Because when we look at the story of Joseph, you can have these beautiful dreams, you can have these beautiful ambitions, but if you do not make sure that your character lives up to the main function of why you have been blessed, of why you have been positioned, you are going to fail and miss your calling. And that is where it becomes dangerous. Because there becomes a gap in one generation to the next when it comes to serving God. I want to conclude, and the main reason behind the launch of this and everything that we are doing, it's not so much about the book specifically, but it's about the dream that has been launched in our church by my dad. I think it was in 2007. And you can put on the next slide for us. And that is the dream about expanding the physical building. We have recently had the blessing of having our plans being approved, and we are extremely thankful. I think just the application, that is without, it started in 2007, but just this application took us almost 3 years something that's supposed to take shorter than 12 months. There were many challenges and many hurdles that we had to go through. And so the idea was this: we want to build a double story on the house next door, and that's part of the phases. And so that's actually a diagram of the light steel structure that will be used and needs to be planned. We are busy working with the construction estimator when it comes to how much everything cost, and we're going through the whole processes, but we're very, very excited. And we've decided, I've got the big privilege of not just having my book that's launching, but my dad's book is also, we launched his book last year, I think it was last year, The Beetle Effect as well. And my mom decided that we're going to donate my dad's book to the church. So every book that's sold so far has been donated directly to this building fund. And we're doing exactly the same with this book, The Biodegradable Christian. So the idea is this: for every purchase that is made, for everyone that supports this process, you are supporting our building fund directly. None of the proceeds goes to any individual. It goes directly to sponsor all the scruffies and all the glue. Well, I don't hope they put glue on that. Let's call it big screw. No, no glue, no. I think it will be cheaper, but let's leave the glue part. That's we've got the technology guys that knows what the scruffies need to look like for that. And so that is why we are launching this conversation today, and we are doing this. And I just want to say from us, I thank you for everyone that's here and decided to put up their hands to show up. But let's get back to, as we're going to conclude this message today. My desire for each one of you is to understand that God has blessed you. He has given you ability. But that ability in you can only be activated if you are willing to put up your hand. If you are willing for God to shape and to mold you. And maybe you're sitting here and say, but God called me once. I know He called you once. And I'm not pushing that down. But there's a problem with the calling you once. God doesn't make a mistake once. You aren't where you are supposed to be. Because maybe the service part lacked a bit. You aren't where you're supposed to be because you were stuck in the phase where the dream was about you. But when God called you, He called you powerfully for one simple reason. Because He wanted to use your strength to encourage others. He wanted to use your resources to encourage others. He wanted to use your wisdom to encourage others. And that's sometimes where we're stuck. That's sometimes where we struggle in. But if you take the story of Joseph and if you draw from that perspective, you will quickly realize that as you move through life and as you use your gifting to serve other people, that's where you find your purpose, and that's where God shows up and opportunities open for you. This is not an insult conversation, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not pushing you down. I want to do the opposite. I want to encourage you. I want to beg you to take technology and use it to equip yourself. Don't use it to just consume and become worse. Don't use technology and consume your life away. But draw into the amazing advancements that we have today. And use those tools to gain wisdom, to gain knowledge, to understand, to help people. And in that sense, you become empowered to change the world, to change your world. But it's not going to happen if you're just going to sit and watch TV the whole day. It's not going to happen if you lie in bed. And I know this sounds so cheesy, but this is exactly what we do. It's exactly what we do. Because it's so much more convenient to sit and consume than it is to build a new skill. I want to conclude with this. It's difficult many times to serve out your calling. It's difficult many times to serve out your calling. Because if you enjoy helping people, that means somewhere along the line, you're going to stop serving yourself in a moment. You're going to put yourself second. You're going to leave your home. You're going to go and help someone. That costs a price somewhere. If you want to equip yourself to become better, It means that you're going to pause entertainment for a while and you're going to pick up a book, you're going to study a topic of finances because you want to help people how to learn better, how to work better with money. Serving your calling is not always comfortable. It's not always easy. Because being strong on behalf of someone else, it costs you a price as well.